We can call the meeting? Okay. So I'm gonna call the meeting to order at 12:03. Please note, there was a revised agenda. The supplemental items went out. And then we're going to confirm the quorum.
Yes, we have a quorum.
Okay, report of reposting
Yeah,
of
the agenda has been posted,
Okay. And then I announced the changes, the supplemental items that went out.
but there actually is another one.
Okay.
You have before you this, that is causing all last minute harm. This is David will explain this later. It has to do with recabling, right?
This is the part of the AV system.
It's part of the AV system memo that we want to add.
Okay, noted. And now I'll get into public comments. I have 2 public comments. I want to invite Holly Osborne up.
Okay. Where's the timer clock?
I will have it.
Okay, because
I'll keep track.
this is untranscripted, which makes it a little more interesting and a little more dangerous, but I also want to make sure I get done in time. I thought we were going to have new today, and I also thought this is on the K line. I also thought the K line is going to be talked about because they're probably going to talk about the new opening of the station, which I went to on Friday night. Now, what I want to talk about is the K line in Lawndale. Okay, this is my sketch. You all know, right? This is it as it is right now. There's the freight train, and this K line is only 75 foot wide here, or the row is, and 100 feet wide here. And why I want to talk about it is there are still people, unbelievable, that think that the freight train and both metro rails are going to go on the same track. I talked to one of them, a neighbor, and he said, well, aren't they going to just use the tracks they already have? And I said, no, there's 2 additional tracks. And I call that the 1 second understanding of the row, that you're going to use the freight track, but you have 2 additional ones. When he heard that, he said, that's not going to fit. Got 3 tracks, sets of track total. He said, and that sucks. And it's really going to tank the property values. I call that the 15-second understanding of this thing. And not only that, it's really going to tank the quality of life. And that's what all my colleagues that live on the row, I don't live on the row, I'm a retired engineer, have talked about. But I'm an engineer and I like to talk about numbers. And so that's what I'm going to talk about, this 75-foot width of the road. When Metro started this time, back on August 22nd, giving all those presentations, they said this was 81 feet. Well, a lot more stuff fits on when it's 81 feet and their drawings look a lot nicer. We said, no, it's 75 feet. Anyway, we just had a bunch of surveyors on the road, and I want to know, what did they measure? And when I asked, I write to Green Line Extension, oh, we'll let you know at the final EIR. After they bought the row in 1993, they ought to know what the width is now. I want to know what those surveyors surveyed, okay? The assessor's maps say 75.77 feet. Okay, well, that's closer to 75 feet. They don't say 81. So there's all this firepower in this room. Somebody ought to be able to text somebody at Metro and say, what did you measure for the width? Engineers want to know. Okay, thank you. And I made it in time, so I want to.
It just put me down. You have to look at my picture. It shows on my picture.
What was it? Sure.
You had like 15 seconds left.
Okay, well, I did.
Lee. Next we have Karen Herrera.
Good job, Holly.
Good morning, board. My first time coming here is during committee meeting, great meeting. Hello, my name is Karen Herrera. I am a senior associate with California Consulting. We are the state's largest grant writing firm. And I believe we provided information to your newsletter before about upcoming grants for local governments in the coming We are based in El Segundo. We have more than 136 client cities and school districts across the state of California. Many of them are your neighbors: Long Beach, Carson, Cerritos, Rolling Hills Estates, San Gabriel, Maywood, Artesia, Norwalk, and so many others. Let's see, during my 35-year government career, I was the deputy city manager for over 23 years for the city of Duarte and their public information officer, in addition to 5 other cities. In addition to Cal Consulting also performing grant writing, we also perform post-grant compliance, which I know is a big issue, especially for smaller cities. Sometimes you'll get a grant, maybe not have the staff who has the knowledge to be able to put in all the reports and the compliance. We do that as well. We have been in existence for over 21 years. The team has written successfully more than 1,600 grants that have been funded for our clients during our 21 years. We have 54 dedicated team members. And again, all we do is grant writing compliance, grant research, grant management. Our grant writers specialize in writing federal and state grant applications, especially. We have written and funded many complex applications. Many of these may be very familiar to you. AHCP, BRIC, HSIP. In fact, with HSIP, we funded a record 16 applications this last round for our clients. SAFER and AFG for fire departments, Safe Streets and Roads for All, and of course the COPS grants, and many other major federal and state grant applications. So again, if you have something in mind, don't hesitate to call us. Cal Consulting, again, we've been writing applications for more than, my goodness, it's been thousands of clients in our 21 years. I have some of my business cards here that I'm just going to leave in your general materials area. Please reach out to me if we can ever be of help. And again, if the COG would ever like additional information, Jackie, please feel free to reach out to me and we'll send it off to you. But thank you so much and enjoy your meeting.
Let me add one thing to that. I'm working with Sammy, I guess.
Yes, you are working with
And you guys don't know this, I think, at California Consulting. He sends me once a month all the grants that are applicable to cities that they know of at that point.
Oh.
And I send them to city managers. This is now, it's doing it. We just started this. So the city managers know that I will be sending them, we call it a grant spotlight.
Thank you, Jackie. Like, it's our way of giving back to our communities, our clients, as well as our non-clients, because we help everyone.
It doesn't cost any money, but
Yes.
We love free.
Thank you so much. Okay, we'll move on to the consent calendar. Please note there was the addition of VB. At this point, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second. Second, okay.
Any opposition? Any abstentions? Thank you.
Okay, moving along to action items. Item H was moved.
I'm
Okay,
gonna let David do this.
if you didn't know, we're moving.
Really?
At the end of the month.
This is our last meeting
Yes,
here.
this will be our last meeting here. I had to stop by the new office last week, and walls are going up. Construction looking more like an office now than it did when we first walked through. They were able to get some extra crew in there and make up some time so that we may be able to actually move our stuff directly from here on the 28th into the new office. Fingers crossed.
Right.
If not, a few days later on the 1st for sure. So in the packet,
Jackie, what number office is this? I'm sure that's run through your head. I can count 5.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah.
This is it, last one.
That's what I said.
5th marriage, huh?
Purchase and.
that would be my long-term goal.
David wants to buy a building.
Yeah.
Put up your housing development. You can put the bottom.
Okay, so in the,
Might need more than the bottom floor.
oh, here it is. Okay, so in the supplemental items, we sent out two pieces as part of the memo. One is a recommendation for, or a proposal for cabling the new office, or running the Ethernet cables to the necessary locations. We will ask for a recommendation on that one.
Page.
It's page 25 of the supplemental handout, yeah, that Natalie has out here. The actual proposal is page 28. It's for $7,810.89. And so that's for the cabling of the new office. And then in addition to that, there was a proposal from Sharp for the new audiovisual system in the new boardroom, as well as the relocation of our current system, and then setup of the 2 small conference rooms that this equipment will then go into. The new AV system, it was a very high price tag. So we decided to get a couple other quotes on that. But the item that Jackie had added to the agenda that was a handout is the proposal for removing the stuff from this office and relocating it to the other office, which we need to get done before the end of the lease. And so we'll ask for a motion, an approval on the supplemental handout.
How does that differ?
So the supplemental handout is purely just removing the equipment from this office building. And then the PC and video bar that is necessary to add to one of the screens, make it a fully functional AV system for one of the small conference rooms. And so the standalone item that we will be coming back with is just for the boardroom equipment in the new office.
As opposed to the one that's in the agenda?
In the agenda packet is all of it all together. And
All of it, what?
all of it supplemental.
Yeah.
Plus the AV system.
I see.
So we separated those 2 out so we can do a little bit more research on the AV system and bring it back to you.
I'll explain. The AV system, it's a big room. You want to do it right.
Like the old room.
Hmm?
Like the old room we had.
It's gonna be,
It'll
it'll be much closer.
Yeah.
Yes, it's
the room before this one.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
That was, all right.
And so we want to get this not quite that big, but, and it came back, the Sharp proposal came back at over $70,000. We have the money in our reserve, but we don't have the money in our moving budget for sure. So David worked so hard to get this to this meeting, and I told him, no, I wouldn't bring it to this meeting because I really want more information from, like, are there other sound systems? Maybe you actually need to get in the room and see what, if there's echoes, I don't know what it's going to be like. So what this means is we will not have it ready for the July meeting, most likely. And it means that we probably won't have a sound system unless we use the jerry rig one we have here. But I really think that probably have to spend that much money. And so we better get it right. And so the other thing that happened today is, maybe you can help me with this. I sent to all the city managers council checks. How old is it? How much did it cost? Not that it's exactly analogous, but so we have some idea when we come back whether we're, in the right ballpark. So this is going to take a couple of months, which will affect the sound at the board meeting. But I hope you understand that we have a 7-year lease and we're going to put something in that we can.
Right.
Well, I think that's been one of the big problems with
Right.
this room is that you can't hear.
What'd you say?
Yeah.
And the AC comes on too,
Yeah.
in the middle of you talking. What?
But the on Western in our favorite. place,
Yeah.
We had those microphones along the table. Do we still have those in a box?
we do under the table. The system is just old. It's
But I
wired.
think early until, like, if we do what Jackie suggests, and this, but how the room works and so forth, could we not use that, break out that box of microphones and stuff for a month or so?
Yeah, I mean, we could. I mean, we could do that today. I think the issue is because we do hybrid.
Yeah.
When the system's not integrated, you have a speaker, somebody speaking into a microphone, out of a speaker, into these speakers, into somebody's computer. And so
Yeah,
it
but I
gets-
don't think just speaking into that is all helpful to them either, is it?
They can hear really well.
Online hears really well with the.
Yeah.
Okay.
But,
Can hear whispers.
but if you're sitting over here,
Oh, no.
it gets. And so I think
Caught.
part of the thing that's driving the cost of the new system is it's an integrated system that marries both the in-room audio plus the teleconferencing audio. I mean, I go to Metro TAC meetings and their AV system is subpar in my opinion for an agency of that size. I mean, I think our system is much better than even theirs. Our current system is better than theirs. And so we'll come back to you with a proposal for that, but it's a much, I think it'll get much closer to the quality of the Western Avenue office that we all think back to. With lessons learned from here. And it's not a wish list proposal. It's based off of the feedback that we've collected and just lived through in this space. So we'll come back with that one. So
Question.
Well, here's a crazy idea. How about if we just have an in-person meeting? Hybrid.
that's what July would be, at least.
No, you're saying permanently.
No,
In
just
June.
for a while.
Yeah, that's what we'll do until then we select a new system. So we really won't have a teleconferencing system hooked up. The only one we have is that portable one on a cart, which probably is subpar for.
Well,
what
our
we need.
system's kind of old, but it is fully integrated with all telegraph systems.
Oh, is it the June, no, Naka,
That was bad.
Naka-Oka, do
Mhm.
they have, is it gonna be Zoom there?
No, that'll be in person only. We'll be able to do there's a screen and AV system to do presentations, but no teleconferencing.
Okay. But you have some handheld mics at least for
At the for the June board meeting or,
board meeting.
yeah, we'll be doing that one offsite at the Naka-Oka Center in Gardena, and they have an AV system that we can use.
Okay, so that is not going to be at the new place.
No, June board meeting will be offsite.
And-
July meetings, we should be, unless
Okay,
something happens with the construction timeline, we should be in the new office to do an old school meeting of technology light.
Is that not?
we want it.
Address in this,
It's definitely gonna be in the board agenda.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be on the board agenda. I don't know if it's.
And Natalie will,
Determine construction.
And you have the board agenda draft in the packet.
right, in the board agenda.
okay. Are there any other questions before we take it to a vote?
How long is the lease at the?
7 years.
7 years. Is there any thought to, getting a longer term so that we can amortize kind of the costs over that term?
So we already added the 2 years. It was a 5-year and then we went to 7 to get a better deal on the lease itself. And there's always a renewal option if we found that space works really well for us and
Do we have an option now to renew it?
renew the new one.
So does it have an option built into the 7-year term?
I believe it does. Yeah, I don't remember what it is off the top of my head, but yeah.
I guess my question would be too, is the systems are constantly updating too, so even in the 7 years, you're probably gonna have to do some kind of,
Yeah, so like this system, for example, is 5 years old, so
Okay.
is good. I think what helps us is that it's not an overly complex system. It's pretty much a monitor, a PC on the back, and then the camera and speaker system. And so if any of one of those pieces needed to go out, it's
okay,
not the whole system that needs to go out with it. The guy from Sharp in his proposal said you probably got at least a decade of use like we do out of a system. So whatever we go with in the new office should be more than enough for the entirety of that initial lease at least, yeah.
okay. I'll entertain a motion.
So move.
Is that for both? Both proposals? Okay.
Second.
Okay. Any opposition? Any objections?
Okay, perfect. Moving along to homeless services.
I will do this, but Ronson is going to be coming, so why don't we leave this to?
Okay. Okay,
So on in your agenda packet, we are recommending one bill for consideration, AB 726. We're recommending a support position on this one. And this would allow cities to include in their annual progress report, RENA progress reports, the number of units of existing deed restricted affordable housing. If you have contributed $60,000 or more per unit towards that existing unit. And so it's essentially a way for you all to get credit in your RENA reports for preserving affordable units that are already in your communities. Right now, you can't claim those. This bill would allow you to do that. We think it's an important addition to the toolbox that the potential housing trust would have. If the housing trust was to fund renovations of existing affordable housing units, this would allow you to get credit in your RENA reports for that. And then I think that's it on the new positions. I think one of the main bills that we've been monitoring and took an opposed position on, SB 79, it passed the Senate and it's now in this assembly. I know the league sent out an action report and everything to contact everybody, but we'll keep monitoring that one for you. So the only new addition to this month is AB 7.
But I think you should also tell them, because it's fascinating.
Oh, yeah, I was telling Jackie earlier that in the 8 or 9 years I've been at the COG doing our legislative bills, maybe once in that time we've gotten a call from one of our legislators asking about our position, or as the legislators going into a vote. And this session I've gotten 2 specifically. One was from Senator Allen's office on a bill, and then last week, before SB 79 was actually voted on, Senator Richardson's office contacted us to see if any of the recent amendments were palatable for the COG. And so I don't know if something's changing or they're seeing our letters differently now, but interesting change in the last session.
What page is that legislation?
It is in your main,
47.
47 on the main packet. 726.
You have a main packet?
You want to see it?
Okay, are there any questions? Okay, if not, I'll move it to a vote. Can I get a motion?
So move.
Second.
Any opposition? Any abstentions? Thank you.
Before we move on to this item, there's another item here. And that has to do with our legislative briefing. The legislative briefing would normally be July, is it 12th or something? Whatever it is. It's right in the middle of when we're trying to get out of boxes. We want to be ready. Our sort of open to the public date is more like July 14th, which is the steering committee date. So the question is, we could do a Zoom legislative briefing, or we could just postpone it to August.
Postpone.
Normally it's just like the second Thursday in August. I don't know what that is right now.
14th.
14th?
That makes sense.
The only other caveat, I guess, is that it may have to be in person only if we don't have the new AV system. But
That's right. Okay, well, so right now. Well, or it could be Zoom.
Or it could be Zoom.
or to be Zoom only. Yeah.
So let's do an August 14th.
Okay. We'll move it along to item K, the board meeting agenda development.
Right now we have, we don't have any guest speakers in June. I just heard from, that there's Gateway is getting a presentation. Was that up on LA 28 and the
World Cup.
there's something about that. If I find out who that is and there's time to come, we might want to do that at this meeting.
I also just forwarded you, the government affairs person from Waymo said they are available to come to our meeting.
In June?
He said what dates your upcoming board meetings.
Okay, when I met this week with city manager from Hermosa Beach, Steve Napolitano, and
Interim city manager.
interim city manager, and he was saying he was saying that that
For now.
I think he said he saw Waymo cars in the South Bay. And it might be interesting to find out what Waymo's plans are. And so I thought it might be good to invite them to a meeting. If you want, we can invite them to this June meeting. Because we do have time. We're gonna spend time, obviously, on election of officers. But if you'd like, if we can get him there, that might be a really good speaker for the June meeting.
Be interesting to see too, because you know that Waymo had some problems, this weekend downtown
That
LA.
was their problem.
No, but I mean, I'm just curious if they.
Yeah.
Yeah, if they'll be available.
It wasn't their problem. They are burned up.
Before the weekend, or did you just get that?
We just didn't invite them today.
An hour ago.
Yeah.
Okay, so then that's good.
So they got back and
They'll be okay. Yeah, yeah.
And so ask them if they can come to this June meeting and it's in Gardena.
Yeah, no, I'm just wondering if they're preoccupied with.
Okay, so the big thing in this meeting is election of officers. I hope you'll all come. Rodney's not here, so we can all talk about, please bring something for him, and he's done a great job this year. And so, that'll be the big issue, and maybe Waymo. July,
So do we, is the list of candidates in here?
not in the steering committee, no.
No, I mean, in the agenda.
In the board agenda, they'll be in the board
Oh,
agenda. but
Okay,
not in the
but I mean, we are taking nominations on the
Yes.
floor also.
Yes. And if anybody's interested in being a candidate and want to be in the agenda packet, please let me know. Right now, we have Zane's name in the agenda packet. Okay, July Housing Trust is gonna give an update to the board. And that's the last month for our Civic Spark Fellows. Unfortunately, we probably will not have Civic Spark again because we can't tell if the program is gonna be continuous or if it'll be
Or maybe
funded.
too costly.
Yeah, they might have to raise their rates. So we have two Civic Spark Fellows and they will be telling about what they've done in the time they've been with us. I did invite the colonel of the Air Force Base, who was at our General Assembly, and he never got back to me.
Hmm.
And he said he'd come, but he never got back to me, so I'll try that again. Yeah.
Okay, he spoke at our Memorial Day event.
Oh,
See
yeah?
if we can reach out, if you'd like.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, because it would be nice to have him in to speak at a meeting. The Alta Sea Wave project, there is an Israeli firm called Eco Wave that is working at Alta Sea to demonstrate their company's project, which they think they have around the world, but they're doing a pilot in the Port of Los Angeles, and they are, I know that at least reached out to Redondo Beach. The idea of this project is to use wave action for energy. We found out that I think the owner or whoever she is, the CEO, is going to be in town tomorrow. And they're giving us a tour at 4:30 tomorrow. If you're at all interested in going, please let me know. We have to give them the names. And it should be very, very interesting. It's in San Pedro.
Yeah,
It'll be 4:30 to 6.
yeah, it's kind of far.
Okay, so if you're interested, let me know. And I think that's all I've got for, if you
So
see them.
that's typically of their new facility, so it's tour.
It's not a tour of Alta Sea, it's a tour of the Eco Wave,
Mhm.
yeah.
Jackie, but you wanted Kim and I to speak in July.
Oh, of course, yes, thank you. Write that down, so I won't.
It feels great, it feels great.
So I'm really sort of excited about this. Wally and Kim are both obviously doing projects that talk about the future, where we're going, energy efficiency, climate change, land use, transportation. And what I came up with is that they should do a joint presentation of how all of those things, work program, go forward. And so that will be July. Okay. Thank you, Wally. Well, he comes here to make sure that I actually.
I listen closely.
Yes, right. Okay, so I think we're ready for the next item, which is the budget. So I'll turn that over to,
Yeah, I think Laura's gonna You there, Laura?
And as you know, we heard the budget at the board meeting. There really wasn't much comment, but this is the last, really, the last time you can look at it in detail. It'll be on the board agenda. If there's no further discussion today or no major discussion, it will go on the consent calendar. Otherwise, we can discuss it more at the board again. But, Laura?
David, are you sharing screen or should I share screen?
I can.
David's going to. He's got to get it on the right screen.
Yeah, this is.
Awesome.
Want me to do it?
No, it's just the wrong chart. That's not a big deal. The right one's in.
Okay.
Thank you. Perfect, thank you. Okay, so we're starting off with just a recap to compare our mid-year budget to what we are proposing today. So with our increases in our estimated revenues, there's also an increase in our estimated expenditures. They're almost proportionate to one another. And next we have a comparison chart. On the left side, we have our revenues, which continue to be heavily reliant on grants and revenues, grants and contracts. So 89% of our revenue right now is composed from grants and contracts. And that is followed by just 7% from our membership dues. And the last category for that is other general fund reserves. And just so you know, 8% of our revenue is basically pass-through funding through the cities. On the right side, we have our expenditures, and with that, we have the primary category at 45% being professional and contractual services. It's basically us hiring consultants and vendors to implement the contracts and grants that we have, the 89% that we get from revenue. That's then followed by salaries and benefits at 28%, and the last category being supplies and services at 27%. Next, we have just some noteworthy changes for you in revenue. They're also detailed in our narrative. Each line item that exceeds 5%, either reduction or an increase of 5%. The first one being SCAG REAP 2.0 for commercial redevelopment and the housing trust. We do have an increase in that line item or that account because of the new fiscal year work. It's about $400,000. And then we also have Metro REAP 2.0, and that project is for mobility hubs. And that is to recognize this new contract, about $353,000 for that one. Followed by the Caltrans Carson to the Sea gap study. This is new funding, and we factored that into this fiscal year 25-26 budget. It's about $246,000 of an increase. We also have the SoCal Ren Cool Roofs feasibility and identification analysis. This is also a new form of funding. This is not the total amount that we're getting, but we're factoring $175,000 in this upcoming fiscal year. We also have an 8-year contract with LA County for REN, or Regional Energy Network. And for the fiscal year, we're factoring in about $56,000 of that to be spent. And last but not least, we also have another LA County contract, the Decarbonization Direct Install. And for that funding, we're factoring $51,000 in this fiscal year.
Laura, before you continue, I noticed that on page 62, we talk about other possible budget notes, and one includes the SS4A grant. When we did this, the SS4A grant was pending. We have an appointment this Thursday. The federal government finally contacted us and said that they will want to discuss starting that grant. So we have this Thursday, we have a meeting. If it does go, if it really is restarting the grant, when you see this at the board meeting, we'll have to change it to include the $400,000 for that grant. So I'm not ready to change it till after Thursday, but I just want to bring that to your attention. There might be one more grant. Thank you, Laura.
And thank you for adding that. That is still in the works. For our expenditures, we also wanted you to be aware of some noteworthy increases that are almost proportionate to our increases on the revenue side. The first category being salaries and benefits, we're seeing a $324,000 increase there, and that is due to increase in needing staff to implement the grant and contracts that we have. We also had a 5-year contract with our auditing firm, and we just did an RFP to select a new auditing firm. And because now the pricing is 5 years old, we did see an increase in that pricing there. So we factored in the amount to cover our fiscal year 25-26. For rent and utilities, because of the anticipated office move that's coming up and it being a much larger space, we did also factor in the new funding or the new needed expenses for the new lease agreement. And I think the next slide, we have.
Sorry.
That's okay. That's good. I couldn't figure out where it was on David. I'll take it from here, Laura. So we had talked before about two policy updates that we were incorporating into the budget. One of them was to increase our restricted reserve. And so the current policy is 3 months of fiscal year 2022 to 2023 operational expenses, which we have a balance of 347,884. And because of the new office move and having the additional rent, we thought it would be prudent to increase that restricted reserve. And so the restricted reserve that is actually in the budget, the draft budget that you have, is listed as 649,751, which is an estimated 3 months of expenses for the 25 and 26 fiscal year. We'll know better, obviously, when we get done with that fiscal year. And then any changes to that we would bring to you in future budgets. Okay, so that was one. The second one was salary increases because of state law changing every year and increasing minimum wage. The hourly rate, salaried have to make twice that of the hourly employees. And so that was causing us to lose our entry-level positions over time. And so what we did is we adjusted, and if you go to the next slide, David, we adjusted the scale, and this would go into effect January 1, 2026, which is a line of when the state would actually be increasing their minimum wage.
Just one note on this, the one on the slide is the old one in your packet is the
We
new one,
fixed
the
it.
corrected one for the accountant.
Yeah. So at the last board meeting, one of the council members identified that we had an error on the accountant. It was listed there and it should have been at the 74,880. So we adjusted that, and that's what's revised in your budget packet as well. So we have this salary scale. We are looking at reviewing our positions and our descriptions and related salaries. And so we'll be, if we move forward with something on that, we'll bringing that back to you next month for approval before we would do any expenditure on that. But I think it's time for us to look at that. We've grown considerably over the last, 3 to 5 years. And it's really time to look at this. It seems to be in line with what other agencies are doing. A lot of the agencies that I reached out to are also in the process of doing this evaluation. And so anyway, look for that. And then the last slide here, Jackie talked a little bit about the SS4A, which is that second main bullet. But we also have 2 grants that we're waiting to hear back from. One of them is the Caltrans adaptation grant, and that's the 350,000. And then a similar Caltrans grant, this one focuses on sustainability, and that one is 399,575, which you can see. And we'll know, I think in the next 2 or 3 months, we should know on those 2 grants.
No, now we also have to add, there's another one. Last Friday,
That's right.
we submitted a grant. We'll have to add that to this for the board meeting as well. We submitted, maybe we won't put it on the consent calendar. We submitted a grant to something called LA 2050. And the idea was, it's a grant. We don't have any funding really for all the work we want to do on seniors. So this one was sort of an interesting take. We asked, their maximum is $75,000. We asked for $5,000 to do a sort of a micro mobility library for senior facilities. So we would go to a senior home and see if we could station an e-bike and a neighborhood electric vehicle there for the usage of the people that live in that facility. We've already contacted Beach Cities Health District and a couple of facilities very interested in working with us. We're going to make it an implementation grant, but it's only a year, and it's only $75,000. So we made it a planning grant. How would you implement such a thing? And so that we just applied on.
But we won't know by our budget, will we? We won't know.
It'll be in this year, in the coming year.
Yeah, but,
We'll know in October.
Yeah.
But that's the coming year.
yeah, but we would just list it as potential. It's not gonna change anything.
Isn't that what?
Yeah, but this, I mean,
Okay. Anyway, it's a grant we've applied for that's
Yeah,
pending.
yeah. And then-
LA 2050. Never applied to them before. I don't know how it actually works.
and then the last thing, of course, which would be a major change to the budget, was if we, on the $11 million that's coming from the new homeless services money, which is not programmed in this budget at all.
But let me explain that what Ronson, for some reason, had this thought that we're gonna get the money. We're not gonna get the money that way. It's gonna come in, the sales tax obviously is gonna be collected monthly. The La Casa is gonna get the money and then they're gonna give it out to us. We will get some money up front, and so, and probably not till August, we understand what our monthly allocation is going to be. Because they're not gonna get the money July, they're trying to work fast, but you know, if it's August, I'll be very happy. So we don't know what we're getting in a month, but it should somehow at the end of the year total $11 million more. So it's hard to put it in the budget because we really don't know how it's coming.
Right. And we don't know, how that would affect
Yeah.
subcontractors and things like that too.
And you
So-
will be getting, this week, I'm gonna talk about it, La Casa's guidelines are out. And then they're gonna be working on MOUs or some kind of a memorandum for each of us. And in that document, hopefully we'll have an understanding of how the money's gonna flow.
So any questions? And of course, you have the full budget in the packet along with explanations of changes on the individual items. There's a narrative in there for you.
So this will be on the consent agenda?
Well,
or
and
will-
I'm asking you, no, I mean, I have interrupted a couple of times just with new grant information. But do you think we should put it on the consent? There were no questions last time. And then somebody can take it off if they're interested.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, so we can.
Thank you for that. Moving along to item M, auditing firm recommendation.
That's Laura again. Laura, this is on your supplemental packet. And
Need a
it's on,
formal recommendation for the budget.
Oh.
Recommend board approval.
oh, yeah, I guess recommend board approval for the budget.
Backtrack. Okay.
Thank you.
That's why David's so important.
So we need a motion on it.
We need a motion and a second.
So moved. Second.
Who's, okay.
Any opposition?
Good job, good job.
Any abstentions?
They're right there. I don't know. Has everybody seen the invoices?
Has anybody seen
I did. I had to sign.
Sent out. All right.
That's a question.
Okay, now we're going to item nine.
And that's on your supplemental packet and it's on page 35.
Laura,
Laura?
I'm here.
we're on the auditing.
Did you want me to like go over the memo or we do also have a comparison chart that compared all the proposals we received. The main concern really was because of our size as an agency, a lot of the times we're not priority to some of these auditing firms. So that was really the red flag for me across these agencies. Some of them took 3 weeks to get back to us with a proposal and some took up to 9 weeks. And we had to follow up several times. So I think that's why it was a safer bet for us to stick with our current firm, who are not only ready to schedule our audit for this year and the next, even though we're out of contract technically at this point, but they also have the capacity to actually do our audit when the time comes.
And that is a problem. We've had trouble with other firms. It goes into January by the time we can bring the audit back. So,
Yes. And some of the times too, when we solicit different firms, I reached out to 8 different firms that were all recommended by other COGs. Some of them don't even reply with a proposal just because we're a smaller agency. They don't see that the work is worthwhile. So it's hard to, first of all, retain any proposals. And then the second piece of it is, of course, the turnaround for how soon we can get a proposal, which kind of was a sign as to how much time are they going to allocate for us when the audit comes if they can't even respond to us with a proposal in a timely manner.
Oh, we need a motion on that
Okay,
as well.
I'll entertain a motion.
Move.
And I'll second it.
Any opposition? Any abstentions? Thank you.
Yeah, I don't know if you're ready for the invoices yet. Are you
They're
ready?
just going around.
Okay. So should we go back up to homeless?
Yeah, we'll go back to homeless services.
Okay, and so on page 42 is the second page of the client aid. And we've had a real escalation in client aid. I think I might have mentioned somewhere that according to Ronson, LASA is not funding the same amount of things they used to. So we're doing a lot of client aid. As you see on page 42, we still have an average case that we're spending about $1,100, $1,200. And we're really being successful in getting them housed. So Ronson had a couple of slides.
What he said earlier.
I asked Ronson to make some revisions. I forgot. Ronson is currently in Inglewood looking at a resource for the city. So, okay, so the issues that we've had this month is we've taken a leadership role. I just want you to know that we hosted a meeting of cities and COGs, talk about La Casa, how it's MOU, the guidelines. And we're planning to host another meeting, not here, but sort of calling it, we're the conveners. And that's going to be about the new county entity. If you're familiar, just as a recap, there's so much going on in homeless. The city and the county are, sort of dividing up what's going on currently. There's the new La Casa agency and Measure A and how it's going to be administered. And then there's now a new county entity that's supposed to be created to handle how the county is going to address services by January. So what's happening is they're coming up with guidelines and MOUs and programs and how it's going to work. So Ronson has, go to the next slide. So we're trying to convene all the COGs because they don't listen to cities very well. And so we think there's strength in numbers.
Bravo.
The guidelines for La Casa, Ronson's biggest concern, and he's trying to address this for a while, has to do with justice impacted services which are not eligible for funding. I am sorry, I cannot tell you what HART is. The HART program, it's Ronson not here, and the criminal record clearing program, which have been organized by the public defender, have been heavily used by South Bay. Councilman Hicks and Assemblyman Gibson have held events to help people clear their records. We have homeless court. And so we are very concerned that they're not including funding for this. The reason he put your name up there, Cedric, is that we might call on you and Assemblyman Gibson to contact whoever at the county we need to contact, say, this is crazy. You don't eliminate these services. We're paying more money as a county, and they're eliminating services that are important services.
Homeless court.
It's homeless court, right? Homeless court and oh, that's what HART is, homeless court?
Homeless engagement and response team.
Okay. So that's a real concern. And you might be hearing from us because we were having trouble. He's brought this up several times. On rent subsidies, they're limiting rent subsidies, which is not in the legislation, $15,000, which what's happening is because they want to be so accountable, they're creating restrictions. And the restrictions, and we're brand new at this, you would think that, we would try to be flexible and then figure out how far the money's going and who's getting it and is it really doing what it's supposed to do. But instead, they're doing restrictions. The limit to the AMI is average
Area media income.
Yeah, is 50% and 53,000, and he would like it up to 80%. And then they're this is a real problem. They're singularly focused on evictions. And so, and what did he tell us? He said something like, if your landlord has a fight with you, it's covered, but if it's like a relative, it's not covered. I mean, they're making all these rules that,
Landlord.
what?
A landlord is a landlord.
And you don't want to wait till somebody's going to be affected before you help them.
That's right. So these are the things that he's, and trying to bring to, and that's why we're meeting with all the COGs, so that we make sure everybody is on the same page to fight these things. And that's our biggest problem, is that they're, in trying to be accountable and transparent, they're over restricting this brand new program. And that leads to the second slide, or the next slide, which talks about his concern about the new county entity. The same people are designing the new county entity as are in the existing county entity. And you don't have a new county entity unless you do something like different. So the last system was not responsive. And the last system didn't give money to cities. It funded the county, funded LASA, who funded us somewhere in there, but nonprofits were really the people that they were beholden to and really listened to. The new model is unknown. Ronson is suggesting county funding eligible jurisdictions, and we fund the nonprofits so that we have more ability to direct what's happening in our jurisdictions. City shelters are not consistently funded. We're not getting data. We're still not getting data, which is a big issue with functional zero. We have to create our own data. And then it's just poorly managed, wrong mix of caseworkers. These are things that I'm sure Ronson can amplify better than I can. But what I want you to know is there's a tremendous amount of work going on to stay on top of these guidelines and new things, and how is it going to be any different than it was before? If you get a chance to talk to your supervisors, you might let them know that there are things they should be paying attention to, and maybe they even want to have a meeting with you to talk about it. So that's the homeless report. I don't think, was there an action item? I think there's no action item here, other than, I guess what I'd like to ask you is if you see anything wrong with what these comments are, let us know. If you can help us, please help us, but any direction you can provide. You've got two hands up.
Oh, you want to, go ahead.
We'll go with
John?
John.
Some of you may have heard about the City of Torrance experience with Project Home Key Plus. So the city council went on record unanimously opposing the proposed conversion of the Extended Stay America location on Torrance Boulevard near Del Alamo Fashion Square and our city hall. While our city has been willing to cooperate with a reasonable scale and location, that seems to have fallen on deaf ears. So our next step is we've directed our residents to contact the State Housing and Community Development Department to register their opposition to the funding for the Weingart Center Association's proposed conversion. We have a second Extended Stay America location in our city as well. So we believe, since the ownership is the same, meaning BlackRock and Starwood Capital, that this seems to be a public or private equity play. They purchased the hotel group post-COVID. Pricing was down, and it's my own belief that as a private equity firm, they're simply using state tax dollars as their exit strategy to mark up the facilities. So I wanted to raise this now as part of this discussion because I think your cities, the member cities within the COG, may be also teed up for similar conversions. At this point, there's no provision made for any local public input, and there of any CEQA requirements. So this program may be coming to a locale near you.
Theater or drive-in near you.
That's right, whether you like it or not.
Sure.
So I just wanted to note that on behalf of the city of Florence. And we may bring this issue before the COG at some future date.
It is a divisive issue within the COG because we received, just for you to know, we received calls from the supervisor's offices asking us to take action in support of it. And we said we wanted to stay out of it. This is not something that well, you know, we have two members now that are in different places. And so at this point, we're not taking an action. We're not recommending any actions. But we, you know, we'll provide you any materials. Ronson, I know, has been working with your staff to provide them with information.
Okay, thank you. Right?
Thank you for the brief. Love the leadership role you all are taking. It's so essential right now with all the money that's flowing into this industrial complex that it's turned into. I love the client aid recap. Are the other COGs doing that as well to the extent that we are?
No one's doing it.
No one's doing this?
Yeah, as far as I know, we're the only cog that's doing it.
So, I mean, the fact that we have data to show the success of this initiative, I mean, I think we should, you know, particularly when we're talking to the other COGs, is use this as a model for those to emulate. And then that collective strength of the combined COGs, okay, hey, county, this is why you need to provide flexibility, because here are the things that have worked for us that we think could work for, you know, the county writ large. Because otherwise we're, you know, to your point, I mean, we're gonna hem ourselves in and be, you know, some guy's gonna get evicted over something, we're all gonna go, that was ridiculous. Why didn't we fund it?
Right,
Right? So, no, I love it. I think this is money right here. And the fact the county doesn't get that, and we need to make sure we pound the drums.
It's my understanding, and Ronson can answer this better than I can again, that our client aid has gone way up. And I asked Ronson why, it's because the county is actually pulling back.
Yes.
And so it's crazy. I'm not even sure we're gonna be able to afford to continue our program at the same level. Because we're not getting the support we need from other places.
And I love the idea of the money coming to us to go to the nonprofits, because we know those nonprofits are not necessarily accountable to anybody.
Right.
So to the extent we can all help pound that,
Okay.
you know.
But if we can prepare a letter, which June 20th, so next week, maybe we can send something on Monday or
How
something.
many other COGs are involved?
The big cogs, there's like, what, 7 or 8 cogs in the south, in LA County.
LA County.
But the big cogs are us, San Gabriel Valley, and Gateway.
Right,
And of course, we're not at all analogous in size. We're half the size of the.
right.
Yeah, but those are the 3 that are really, and Hector, Delatorre and Marissa Creeder, who are the executive directors, and we talk regularly.
Okay. And to the extent we can, you know, hammer or have discussions with our fellow electeds, I think that would be beneficial as well.
Yeah.
And maybe there's a joint COG summit or something. I'm just spitballing, throwing this out here.
Right.
It's good at that. Huh? You're good at that. I'm a good idea fairy, man. That's my staff. Or, excuse me, the city staff, not my staff.
Okay, any other questions? Zane?
To John's point, thanks for sharing that. Let's say the COG doesn't take a position on it, it stays out, but could we at least commit to continuing to monitor the situation and kind of weigh in if there starts to be adverse impacts from the county doing this in contravention with the locals' preference? It seems like a local control thing, which,
Are you asking me?
I mean, just generally the whole board.
I would just advise that Torrance hasn't asked us, and we're trying to negotiate all these other things with the county on the new, the new housing agency and everything else. I'd rather not shut them down as from the COG at this point.
I think
That would be my advice.
I think though, to Zane's point, just monitoring at the very least.
Oh, yeah.
You done? I'm sorry.
Yeah, thank you.
There was no real discussion with the city with regard to where this would go, where it would make, it was like, this is going here and that's it?
I won't bore you with the details, but
Right.
going into the Memorial Day weekend, you got a heads up.
I saw a YouTube live video and I kind of tuned in and I saw yeah, you ran a good meeting. It was good.
We got a heads up that this was coming up on the May 27th agenda of the Board of Supervisors. We called a special council meeting on Friday at 5 p.m., which ticked off a lot of the residents, but we said, hey, there's only one reason why we're calling this,
Right.
because this is like our last chance going into the meeting. And we took 2 busloads of residents down to the Board of Supervisors on that following Tuesday, which was
good.
awesome.
That's fast.
Wow.
It was awesome. But I think the residents got the message that even though we showed up in numbers, we got shoved to the end of the meeting.
Mhm.
And it was a very pro forma performance by the supervisor and Kevin Murray. And as a result, there's a certain level of pushback being created here in the city.
Mhm.
And that will be evidenced probably in the next week or two in the town hall meeting.
Was it a 5-0?
7-0.
Sorry,
Oh, you mean on?
Okay, supervisors, what was?
It was 3-0. One abstained and the other had other business.
Oh.
So were residents given time to talk?
We went up, yeah, residents got their 1 minute.
Who abstained?
Let's see,
Not your supervisor.
the chair, oh no, who abstained, she.
I know you're talking.
I'm forgetting, okay, those who voted were Han, Police, and
Horvath.
No,
Horvath abstained.
She wasn't there, was she?
Mitchell?
Holly
Mitchell.
Mitchell,
I thought,
we voted.
Got it.
I thought Horvath and the other, Solis or Barger were not there.
Horvath abstained, Barger left.
Oh,
She left?
She stated she had other business to attend to.
Okay.
Any other
thank you for that.
comment?
Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Okay, if not, move along to the most exciting item, approval of the invoices.
Yes. Did they get around?
Yeah, they did. Like a Beach Boys song, isn't it? I get around.
Round, get it, okay. Call the vote.
They're so slow today.
Any motions?
Sure. Madam Chair.
Second.
Any opposition? Any abstentions? Yep, thank you.
Thank you. Moving along to information items. And Mo, Kim.
Oh, just a recap here of what we've been working on. So we have a lot of events coming up. You can see here, these are the ones that are coming up most recent, or closer to the date today. And there's already 4 here. We already hit over 100 events, community events that we've done this year already. So we're going to be strong in June as well. Off to the right is a couple of pictures of us out in the community. One of the other big projects that we're doing is the commercial direct install, and I've talked to you a little bit about this. They are focusing on the city of Gardena. And the team has been going out, that's a picture of the team on the left there, and doing audits. And so what they do is they engage the businesses, and then they do an audit of the facility. They take that information back and it goes to the county's technical team that then does an evaluation on what can be done related to energy efficiency, but also if there's like some beautification projects that they can do. So like, for example, you see that Farmers Liquor, they didn't find any energy potential there, but they did find some beautification work. And so this funding does have some projects in that area that they can do. You can see these are some of the initial reports that came in, but these businesses, like if you look at Always Metal, that $67,600 or $735, that's for all new lighting for that business. And this is no cost to that business at all. So this is very exciting. The other thing that's really neat about this is that because we're the first ones that came to us to be the guinea pigs and work out all the kinks in it, we can do as many businesses, it has to be in the city of Gardena, but we can do as many businesses as possible by the end of this month. So they're not, at first they were going to restrict us. So if we can get, another 20 businesses to take this opportunity, that's going to be a huge energy savings as well as greenhouse gas savings, actually for the whole South Bay. So
You're
I,
saying that they're gonna have this installed.
Yes.
Will be installed.
yes, these will be installed, yes. And then, next one here, and then just a summary here. We've completed, got 9 of the greenhouse gas reports out to the cities. These are the cities that we have listed. We're working with your city staff to review those reports. If, we did do a training on like, how do you read it? Because it's a very technical document. And then we've made ourselves available to do presentations. So if you have like an environmental committee or commission that would like to have presentation on the findings, we're available. Some cities may ask, may want us to come to city council. We can do that. We also are working on the resiliency hubs, and we've got 4 cities that are on that project: Gardena, Hawthorne, Lawndale, and Manhattan Beach. And this is again working with city staff to identify potential for a resiliency hub, which would include things like like electric vehicle charging and solar, but also like cooling centers and looking at ways that the facility can be, if we have power outages or extreme weather. So that's very exciting. They're really nice reports. And we're in the process of doing community engagement. So we are going to the community and they're asking some questions, but all of that is done in conjunction with city staff. And the last thing is we were able to get all 15 cities reports done. That was the AB 802 compliance. And this is for all cities that have facilities that are over 50,000 square feet. And the team put together those reports. They're reviewed by the cities, and then we submit them to the state on their behalf. And then we had this really nice compliment from the city of Inglewood that says, our many thanks to the COG and the entire team for contributions for the outstanding, if I can read it, work on the report. And this was for the greenhouse gas emissions inventory report. And I just thought that was really nice that they showed that they appreciated the work that we were doing on behalf of the cities, because we really want to be an extension of your staff so that hopefully we're taking off some of their burden. And that was it for questions. I do have a couple, questions before. I have a couple more items I want to share with you. Okay, so one thing is I had brought to you last month a contract with the California Green Business Network to do an implementation of the Edison. It's another direct install program for disadvantaged businesses. And it would have been the first paid for performance contract that we had done. And it was like an upfront cost where we go in and get trained. They were going to pay us a certain amount. And then for every business that we had enrolled that qualified, they were going to pay us another $300. It sounded like a good opportunity to help us engage more businesses, but in reviewing their contract and having our attorney review their contract, there seems to be some areas that they are not willing to change a little bit or to work with us on. And so at this time, I'm not going to move that contract. It was a small contract. It was $20,000 for a year if we hit all those businesses. But there's some liability issues and not defining some terms, like they're not defining third party, but we're responsible for third parties, for example. And I couldn't get them to be more clear in the contract. So that happened. And then the other thing is on the Civic Spark front, Civic Spark was able to get additional funding. And so we did move one of our Civic Spark fellows that we had hired, as a temporary employee back into the Civic Sparks program, which works better for us because that's Kevin, he was getting offset by the county's contract. So if I wasn't able to move him back, that was more complicated, right? Because I was going to have to get a refund and pay the county. Anyway, so we moved him back onto that program. We did retain Zoran, though, as an employee because he is supporting programs that are not getting reimbursed that way. And it gives us more flexibility in the work that he can actually do. So he'll still finish his Civic Spark projects, still be reporting that to you at the board meeting, but then he can also help us doing some additional work. His focus is on communication and outreach. He's also been doing like the direct install work, some of the direct install work with out in the field. So anyway, that's my full retention that both Civic Spark, all Civic Spark people have been incredible. Yeah.
And Anne over there was a Civic Spark person, and we've been smart enough to hire
hire them.
It's okay.
She was okay. So, but we are, the reason we are leaving Zorn as a part-time employee is that we had planned to hire him anyway when the Civic Spark was over, so he will be here.
Yeah.
Um,
He's fantastic.
he's really
He's
fantastic.
doing great. He's also working with the volunteer program. He's set up like forms and bulletins and he's exceptional.
Yeah, so,
Yeah.
so that's one reason we didn't want to revert him back. It didn't make any sense.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
You mentioned Edison. I know many of us are Clean Power Alliance members. Have you talked to them as well? Because I know they have a lot of programs that they are offering for multifamily homes and all
Right,
kinds of
right.
things that we might be able to tap into for our.
Right. So we have met with them over, since they've been in business, I guess you could say, over the last few years. We haven't met with them recently, so we haven't talked about what that outreach is. I would love for them to be a formal partner of the COG.
I think that'd be a great idea.
So we
They-
can work on that.
We have their, our monthly meetings are here.
Yeah,
Right.
right.
So.
I mean, I would love it, because then we could do, just like we do for any of our partners, we can go out there. We do also are working with, the SoCal Ren through the county on, for example, multifamily. So they also have a multifamily program. We have the Kids for Kids program where we're engaging the school districts, right, to get the education to the 3rd and 4th graders. And then if they go through the program, they can get that $1,000 for their classroom, which is fantastic. So we're working with them on some of these other community programs, but I would love to add it.
Mr. Hicks here is Mr. CPA expert, so he can give you the right people to.
Wonderful.
I'm texting him as we speak.
I knew you were. I saw you. put the
When
phone.
I come back to you next month, I'll be bringing that back as an official partner. Thank you.
Note, are you in contact with Diana Forte? Let's see. Okay, I can connect you guys.
Yeah, that would be great.
Lady Di.
That would be great.
Former comedian.
Yeah.
That's fun.
The idea.
It's great briefing.
Again. All right, thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, on our REIT projects, the Housing Trust Feasibility Study. I'll do the second bullet first. We found, and we might have mentioned this to you, but we found out, that it went through legislation. And then we're writing the JPA document. And there is some, the legislation doesn't completely match with how the JPA document is being written. City managers wrote the JPA document. So we went to Ben Allen's office, and we don't have to amend it this year. If there was some legislation that we would do it, but we can do it next year if it needs amendment. It's things like, I hope I get this right, the COG and the legislation has the authority to appoint board members. Well, you really don't want that. You really want the COG to accept the board members that your cities appoint, right? So it's things like that, which maybe Mike Jenkins thinks it could be corrected or finessed in the adoption documents, but it would be nice to get the legislation changed. So that's one thing. Second thing is the Housing Trust. They did the needs assessment. I think I mentioned to you last month about the needs assessment. And the one finding that I was enjoying was that we need over $1 billion a month to meet our RENA cycle. If we use all the money, what?
Billion a year.
No, what's it? It was $1 billion a year.
Yeah.
Did you say a month?
I said,
I love that billion.
It's bad, but not quite that bad.
A month.
But it's a year, $1 billion a year. If we take all the money we've got now and our RENA numbers, we need $1 billion a year more than we were getting. Did you have your hand up, Lauren?
Wow.
I didn't, but the whole situation sickens me. I mean, it's impossible. That the fact is, the regional housing needs assessment cannot be implemented by cities, cannot. It's not possible. So you've been given something that's designed to fail, period.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to write a white paper on this because
White paper, and it is a question of how badly we fail, not at all to achieving.
and at the other end of that is builder's remedy. The whole thing is a scheme to turn this over to developers. So you have zero.
And cover for converting hotels.
So the Housing Trust people are gonna go to the city managers in July, and they're coming to the board in July to talk about where they are. Okay, and still, David and I had today to tell SCAG what our milestones are gonna be. which is essentially how much housing we're gonna build out of a thing that isn't even formed yet. So this whole thing is built on a house of cards. And obviously there's, the housing trust will need 4 cities to step up, or there is no housing trust anyway. So that's, okay, that's the housing trust. And then I'm gonna just, without telling him, turn it over to Jake to talk about micromobility hubs and commercial redevelopment.
Sure. For commercial redevelopments, the board approved our recommendation to contract Studio 111 last month. We are finalizing contract negotiations with them and have a scheduled kickoff meeting for next Wednesday on the 15th.
Okay.
For mobility hubs, we put out an RFP for this Tuesday, last week on the 3rd. So we're in the process of receiving questions. We have a proposal meeting tomorrow, actually. And that proposal is due on the 27th. We are actually looking for members from your staff who would be interested in sitting on an external review committee for the interviews. We'll structure it similar to commercial redevelopment. We received interviews, which was a lot. So what we did is the COG reviewed all of them, selected a short list for the interview so that your staff member who might sit on the committee doesn't have to review all the proposals. We just asked that they would review the ones shortlisted and attend the interviews and provide their feedback. So if you can think of any staff that would be good for that role or interested in sitting on the committee, feel free to reach out to me. And we'll all continue to give updates on that project as we continue. It's looking at mobility hubs in not just our targeted cities of Hawthorne, Gardena, and Carson, but as well as the broader South Bay. And we really understand that there is a gap in high frequency and high demand transit in the South Bay. So we're looking at mainly two typologies of mobility hubs, one being a neighborhood mobility hub, which builds off of existing transit development that offer broader community services such as digital access and on top of the mobility services. And we're also looking at what we're calling modular, more of a kit of parts built on destinations, whether it's business clusters, housing developments, or civic destinations. So we're looking at a different hubs, and the consultants will be putting together an inventory as well of potential sites across the South Bay that we can even use for later projects.
So Ronson's here. Ronson, I gave you a report, but I'm going to give the rest of the reports and then we'll go back and see if people have questions for you.
Okay, great.
There's candy too, so.
Oh.
So we got the South Bay Fiber Network. I'll speak and then Wally and Jake, feel free to add anything. It turns out that our new owner is looking at a way to use it like a pilot project to determine how to expand. And one of the cities that is the most progressive in all of this is Gardena. Their IT director is really anxious to move forward and do it rapidly and do it well. So we're planning to look at Gardena as a pilot project of how we can, he's looking at that, how we can bring in more assets, use the city assets. I'm getting this really bad. The new owner is eventually hoping that we create a city network. This becomes a city network. And so we want to know your city assets. One of the things that Gardena is doing is we think they're going to be doing a needs assessment. We'd love every city to do a needs assessment, and we'd like to help cities do that if we can figure out how. Once we know where the needs, it's not a needs assessment, it's an asset inventory. I've got that. An asset inventory. If we knew where your assets were, we would know how to build this network and extend it in the most expeditious and efficient way. So we're looking at that. The new owner's looking at that, and we'll just have more reports for you. I have nothing more really to say now, other than we're going to be using Gardena as a model of how maybe to expand. But Wally or Jake,
Yeah, I can restate kind of what you said. Right now, this is a mostly leased network with some of it, a small part of it was funded by $6 million from Metro through Measure M. What the hope of going forward is that it becomes publicly owned, becomes a government network. Because that way we can keep the rates really low, not only to you, the city, municipal corporation, but also to the small business community and your residents. So that's the direction we're going. The new owner is completely on board with this and it wants to facilitate us doing that. The key to that is think of it as a consortium that cities voluntarily join. And as you join, you bring your assets in that then become part of the way we eliminate the least component of the network so that we own it end to end at some point. It could be the ITS system. It could be fire department, public schools, could be anybody. The fact is almost no city knows what's happened in terms of these assets, which everything from right of way to conduit to dark fiber to lighted fiber. So what we need is a company to come in, help the city identify, inventory its digital assets so that we know what you would get compensated for if you join this consortium, which will help us keep the rates low. So that's what's going on. And Jackie's right in that Gardena has some funding to proceed with this, as well as an IT director who's really eager to do this. So, but eventually we want to go to every city and find out what your inventory of assets is so that we can properly compensate you if you choose to join this consortium in order to keep the rates low as we convert from a privately owned network to one that's owned by you all. So that's what's going on.
And what might come up is, it might be that we create another JPA or different kind of organization for that specific purpose, but we don't know yet. So there's a lot more thinking that has to go on of where we're going. Jake, did you want to add anything?
I just wanted to add that their head of Fabric Networks, which runs their fiber operations, Drew McNaughton, he's been very good about meeting with cities to answer any questions or any inquiries that come up. We just set up another one with the new IT director of El Segundo today. So if you or any of your IT directors or staff, I know we met with them already, but have further questions or want an update or learn more about this, feel free to reach out to me and I can set up a meeting with us and Drew to give you guys updates.
And
Sure.
so Wally, when you say city asset inventory, is that our public facilities?
Fiber.
Well, you might own conduit that you don't know that the library laid or something like that. In other words, the problem here is no city has a centralized inventory of all what the different departments did. And ITS is something we know that there's out there where there's signal control and fiber that connects them and computers and software and hardware and all that kind of stuff. And so there's an unknown cost per city because we don't know how big a mess it is, how extensive it is, and how good the records are. But they're not centralized anywhere. So that's why we need a firm. We've already interviewed a firm that would come in and work with each individual city to see if we can't pull it together in an inventory to tell you what you can contribute so we can, and we're not only taking ownership of it, we're getting access to it. So it doesn't preclude any of your use, but we want to know so that we can quantify what the savings are and also compensate the city in even lower rates based on what your investment is.
So, for example, when we put in a new water, and shall we laid, fiber, all of those, areas that were dug up.
Or previously abandoned water systems. I know of examples where you can use it as conduit and run the glass through it. So it's that sort of thing that we want to do per city, so you know what you got, so you can, give us
Let us
we
know.
can compensate you.
If you've already done an assessment, please let us know. That would be very helpful.
Good question, Aubrey.
Okay,
Go to Bronson.
well, Ronson, do you want to start with senior services, which I didn't talk about at all?
Yeah, we went for an AARP grant, age-friendly cities grant, to do emergency preparedness for seniors. Unfortunately, I guess the demand was really high. We didn't get the grant. So one of the takeaways from all this is that there doesn't seem to be a lot of funding for senior programs. So we're kind of like, even at the county level and state levels, there's a lot of talk about it. There's a lot of activity, but just not a lot of money to support any program. So that's something we're constantly struggling with in senior services.
How much was that grant you didn't get?
Oh, I want to say around 25 to 50 grand. It wasn't big, but yeah, small grant. Yeah, we just had one, and our theme this year continues to be emergency preparedness. One of the things we're looking into is working with the county to see if there is a role for us to make sure that seniors are on like a call list. So when something bad does happen, like another fire, that I think in Altadena, there were seniors stranded in their houses and no one knew about them. So wanted to figure out South Bay list. Trying to get funding or find a role for us.
Okay, and then I don't think there's anything on local government. Or to keep us safe, is there anything on that?
Now we talked about SS4A.
Yeah. Okay, so then Ronson, I went through your slide,
Oh, good.
but I didn't, there was a lot of things that I said Ronson can. Do you have any questions or do you want the slides up again? Or do you want him to just tell you about, I was talking about some of the concerns, your concerns of the kinds of things they're not addressing.
Yeah.
And
I think the two big ones are, I know this is something Cedric's very passionate about, but it's the criminal record clearing project to help people expunge kind of past criminal activity so that they're not punished twice by society. You know, they serve their time. Once they get out, they can't find jobs or housing because of their criminal background. So they're kind of punished that second time when they come back. And that causes a lot of recidivism. So people then go back to commit crimes because
Anything else I can do?
yeah. So it's actually a great prevention measure. And so we're trying to get La Casa to support programs like that. And as it's currently written, so the county's actually curtailed that program at the services level. And so I'm trying to get it funded through La Casa. So that's something may want to list you and some of Member Gibson's help in terms of advocating. And then the second thing is just, this new county entity that's being formed. We just want to make sure they're not creating the same system over and over again. Our cities have a purview on it. Our city shelters are being funded by the system, by the Measure A tax dollars. So those are just some of the things that we'll be advocating for. And, and that feedback period is starting now. That's until I'd say the rest of the year. So we'll want to probably write our letters, get in front of the different people that are organizing this. We have a call with the cities and COGs July 30th, I think, to also advocate for our point of view on how to run the new system.
Through December?
Yeah, there's just starting the feedback period there. They did like a initial feedback on hiring the new executive director of this new entity. But I'm seeing a lot of the same names. And so that has me really worried. So I just don't see them changing. Yeah.
so what we'll be doing, Ronson, is going to the July city managers meeting and to talk about a lot of it. And when we publish letters, we will be sending them to the cities for you to maybe rewrite your own.
Right?
With regard to the expungement program, I was at a conference a couple of years ago where the mayor of Detroit received an award for his initiative that garnered state support. It was one of the most moving presentations because there was a guy who spoke who was, made some knucklehead decisions as a young guy, had his record expunged, went to truck driving school, bought a truck. Now he operates like 200 trucks within Detroit. And he's got his own business. One of these programs you go, man, that's awesome. So I guess my point is look at what Detroit did.
Okay.
As a potential model because it's really effective. And I forgot the mayor's name at the time, but you can just Google it.
One mayor, you've seen it.
Yeah. But it's what Detroit did and what the state of Michigan did is pretty awesome. So you may not have to reinvent the wheel.
Okay, good.
Because it's been effective.
Yeah, I've done 3 of them in the last 4 years.
But it should be something the county / the state looks to do, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Right? So it shouldn't be, Little Carson, which is great, obviously, but you get the county support and the state support. That's huge.
Right? Yeah, this is Project Clean Slate.
Yeah.
Expungement services in Detroit.
Oh, so good. I mean, wasn't a dry in the place. It was that cool.
Okay. Thank you for that. Announcements and updates.
The only major announcement is this is your last meeting here. So don't come back here.
All right. I really mean it this.
Don't come back.
Yeah, we,
And the board meeting will be at,
yeah, the board meeting's gonna be at the Nakaoka Center in Gardena. And, okay, and we're going to be,
Never say never.
it's starting after tomorrow, I guess. After tomorrow, we wanted to wait for this meeting. We're gonna, or after Wednesday's infrastructure working, group, we're gonna go into boxes. Everything is gonna start getting packed up. So we're not gonna have as many meetings here. We've told like Clean Power Alliance, I think, all of our agencies for at least June, the rest of June, and the first 2 weeks in July, we're not open for business as a meeting place. We're all gonna be working really hard, but we're not gonna be, it's just gonna be moving, working hard. And then we're, July 14th, come to the new office for the steering committee meeting.
Okay.
And Anne had her hand up over there.
Yeah, and I have one announcement.
I attended the LAX Transit grand opening on Friday. I don't know if any of you were there.
Jane, were you there?
Virtually, I saw it on social media.
But,
Nice post by the way. I thought you were there.
worked with Metro to reschedule that board tour
Yeah,
of the facility. I think it's really worth taking a look in person, walking through the whole thing. It's huge. It's really big.
so we'll be scheduling a tour of that. Remember, we were gonna have a tour for a while ago.
Okay, very.
So Thursday and Friday, I think Metro is the host of it, is a summit on the 2028 games and planning for that, particularly from a transportation perspective, but a lot of other pieces too. So anyway, I will be there for Friday's session, Friday's half day. Thursday, I believe, is all day, and you can see the agenda. It's at the convention center.
When?
This Thursday and Friday.
We have information and unfortunately, we're having trouble figuring out how to staff it. So
Yeah.
let us know what you learn on Friday if we don't get there.
Yeah.
And I don't know if we're.
Out of the Thursday.
So I'm on the county commission on local governmental services, and we've been actually leaning on this topic for almost a year now. And it is amazing. And I'm not faulting anyone. It's just everyone assumes that all these things, whatever they are already being addressed. And there's so much that is proving to be a poor assumption. And so like, we're gonna have a transit center here in the South Bay. Well, how are concessions gonna work for that? Is there gonna be a master concessions contract with Aramark that will provide $15 hot dogs that were already prepared in 2023? Or will this be somehow open to our local businesses? That's just one little piece, but how do small and large transit agencies work together on this? Like Foothill Transit is really trying to get their handle on how they're gonna be attached to this. And certainly, Torrance and Gardena are gonna be in this up to their necks. How do we make it work?
Barry, do you want me to put you on? Are you coming to the board meeting?
Great idea.
When's the board meeting?
It's the 26th and it's at the Nakaoka Center and you can say thank you to Rodney.
Wash my hair that day, but let me see.
Rodney.
Yeah, 26.
Yeah, I should be able to be there.
Can I put you on the agenda? Give a little report?
But let me find out. Why don't you go ahead and tentatively put me on there?
Not till next week. So
If it comes up. I may come back Friday with no more knowledge than I had before.
right, with it, was just saying they're not ready, really ready.
But the good news is there are a lot of people who are asking various questions and asking each other, hey, what are you gonna do on this? From, I think, a city perspective, we need to be looking at what is our community going to do to celebrate the Olympics our way? So that 2029 doesn't roll around and we say, well, Temple City sure did something nice. Why didn't we do anything? And it doesn't have to be a lot of money, but what's appropriate for our town? Like Jim Thorpe lived in Lomita for many years. One of the greatest Olympians of all time. And he ran a bowling alley in Wilmington.
You have a Jim Thorpe statue in your city?
We do. We have a memorial. Yeah, at City Hall.
I did not know that.
And and he still has family in the area.
Jim Thorpe Day?
And no,
dude, you gotta have a gem photo.
His family is very picky on how we do anything related to the memorial. That's kind of interesting. You know, all of our communities have our own connections and, you know, two of our communities are gonna have
Torrance had an ice
events
skater.
in them. So,
Torrance
right?
had an ice skater. Mhm.
Volleyballers.
Yeah. Well, we won't have a whole lot of ice skaters in these Olympics, but you know.
Wow, I did not know.
Okay,
Gems were.
we'll go to Zane.
Quick two comments. Don't forget Redondo Beach Transit Center, $20 million and 0 users. So we gotta make sure we include it there.
Let's not talk about that.
So we had a speaker from Malawa come and talk at the Redondo Beach Roundtable, said that the People Mover is gonna open out January 6th. I wonder if we should do a tour when the People Mover has opened up and make it a big thing where people can get on at the Redondo Beach current Marine Avenue stop, take the K line down there, take the People Mover, get it into the terminal, just so they see and experience how it works.
Yeah.
How easy it is to roll a bag or whatnot, so they'll use it in the future. Otherwise, people are just gonna be like, we don't make a big deal out of it and don't get them to the actual terminal. I'm not sure they're gonna have confidence that this is gonna be an easier way, cheaper way to get to the airport.
We used to do metro tours.
Mhm.
Years and years ago, we would do a Green Line tour and it was very effective. People used it because they had tried it once with us. I think we should try to work with Metro on doing something, maybe even in, before it opens up, but definitely after. It's a great idea. We would start in Redondo Beach, right?
Yeah, Marine Avenue Station.
Yeah.
Should also fly somewhere like
Working right.
Hawaii or something.
I mean,
Well, we get our young people who can put together a cool TikTok, YouTube. video. Right?
Boomerang
something. Yeah, there you go.
Be fun.
Love it. Roller. Hi.
Empty though.
Of course.
On the note, just wishing all the fathers and father figures happy Father's Day. Just
Yeah.
on this coming Sunday.
Say. You didn't wish Happy Mother's Day.
Yes, I did.
and did I mention that I have baby pictures of my new grandchild? If anyone wants to see?
Oh, grandpa.
What's that? Speak up. You want a butterscotch candy?
Without the wrapper.
Yeah. Got some in my pocket.
Well, thank you everyone for coming out today. With that, I'll close the meeting.
Look at you banging the gavel. Ready for your next roll, aren't you?
They're preview because the election is coming.